lighted display of the house number, flashes red and blue when activated, is visible from the street, or has a low light adjustment. Additionally, the bill allows a COA or HOA to adopt reasonable rules regarding the placement of a lighted home address device if the rules do not prevent the installation, defeat the purpose, impair the function, restrict the use, or adversely affect the cost or efficiency of the device. Finally, SB 1535 requires the court to award reasonable attorney fees and costs to any party who substantially prevails in an action against the board of directors of the COA or HOA for a violation against lighted home address device use. Mr. Chair, there is an amendment which I'd be happy to explain.
Please do.
Mr. Chair, the two-page Senator Kavanaugh amendment dated February 18, 12:02 p.m. specifies that a COA or HOA may not prohibit a lighted home address sign that flashes red and blue when activated to indicate pending response by police, fire, or emergency services. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions for staff? Okay, seeing none. Senator Kavanaugh.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Technology creates new products, very often useful products, and some startup company created this product where you put a illuminated address sign on your house, and it's also linked in with your Wi-Fi system and your phone. And if you dial 911 requesting emergency services, the lights flash around your sign so that the responding police, fire, or ambulance people will be able to easily spot your house. The flashing lights, which is what the amendment is there for, I forgot that in the original bill, that is what makes the house visible to first responders. And the rest of the time, it could just be an illuminated light. We didn't want to step all over the HOAs, so we said, you can regulate it with respect to the location, as long as it's visible from the street, and you can apply your light intensity rules too. But, and I'll tell you the truth, my college job was driving New York City ambulances, and I don't want to tell you how hard it is sometimes to find a house, and which, wasn't too much of a problem for me because I wasn't having the heart attack, but I think the person whose house I kept missing might have had problems with it, so this will help them.
Okay, questions for Senator Kavanaugh? All right, let's go to testimony.
Jason Barraza, Kylie McGuire.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, for the record, Jason Barraza, appearing on behalf of the Arizona Association of Community Managers, AACM. While we certainly respect the sponsor and his purpose for bringing the bill, we believe that this is a decision that's best left for the communities to decide whether or not this is an item that they want to allow in their communities or prohibit in their communities, for that matter. Specifically, there are communities that we do know exist, and I'll let one of the representatives from our association speak to this directly. But some associations do exist that specifically has made a decision that they want to abide by dark skies and they want to keep various illuminated devices out of their communities. And for that reason, we think that this is an area where it's probably best to keep that decision with the community and not have the state come in and mandate that these need to be allowed. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I'm happy to take any questions.
Go ahead.
Well, you said the magic word, Mr. Chair, dark skies. Fountain Hills, where I live, actually is, I think, the only dark skies community in the Maricopa County area. And my wife was mayor when we became a dark skies community. And they do not prohibit lights. You can have lights. There are just certain illumination levels that you have to abide by. If you couldn't have lights in a dark sky community, everybody would have to have blackout black curtains like we're in England during World War II. This bill lets the HOA set the illumination level of the light. They can make it lower than the light coming out of the house. But if someone's having a heart attack or the house is on fire, I think it's in the interest of the HOA to keep the person alive so they can pay your HOA dues, and to get the house fire out before it burns down other houses. I mean, I bent over backwards to make this reasonable, and I truly don't understand why you would oppose this.
Mr. Chair, Senator Kavanaugh, while I can't speak to what cities and counties and what they may have in place, I'll defer to our manager, who does live in a HOA that has a dark sky policy in place. And I believe that she does live in Maricopa County, but I'll
Mr.
defer to
Chair-
her specifics on that
Mr. Chair,
point.
one other question. So you represent an association of,
Community manager, sir.
and how many communities do you manage?
Our next speaker is our board president, and I'll get that to
Mr.
her.
Barraza, that was an easy question, so
Yeah.
I'll answer it for you. There's two trade associations in the community management world. There's CAI, and then there's AACM. AACM is who he represents, so.
No, I was curious, how many neighborhood associations do you represent?
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry, I apologize, I didn't understand the question that
Yeah.
he was asking. I thought you were asking how many specifically associations are members, our community managers are members
No, no.
of our association. Is
How
that
many
the question, sir?
Mr. Chair, how many communities does your association manage?
Again, sir, I want to
Okay.
defer to the manager on that
Okay.
specific question.
Okay. Again, that was another easy question. I'll go ahead and answer it for you. So basically, every management company in Arizona is a member of AACM. There might be one or two that aren't, but I believe they're probably all members.
Sir, with respect, Mr. Chair, I do actually know that there is actually no requirement that a community manager organization be a member of AACM, and many are not.
All right, you're done.
Apologize.
Go to the next person. You're just missing, you're just swinging and missing on all of them right now, so just
My apologies, Mr.
save
Chair.
yourself and.
Thank you, sir.
Kylie McGuire.
Hi, yes, Kylie McGuire. I am the board chair for AACM, the organization he mentioned. I also am the board president for my personal HOA, which is a dark sky community located in Maricopa County, about half a mile from Luke Air Force Base. I also personally manage a community on South Mountain, who is a dark sky community as well, located around T-Bone Steakhouse, if you're familiar with that area. I've managed that community for 12 years now. I've been in the HOA management industry for 12 years, and I'm now co-owner of our management company,
What's the company?
Lighthouse Management.
Light.
To answer a little bit on the previous question, if I may, before I start, AACM has over 27 management companies joined between individual members. Every management company manages anywhere from, it could be 1,000 doors to 35,000 doors. So I would say, as a member of AACM, we easily oversee, over 500. I mean, to get an exact number would be tough, which is why I think Jason struggled with that answer, just to give. Myself personally, my company sees over 7,400 doors. And that's what we represent, is
Mr. Chair.
7,400 doors. In regards to the bill itself, being a member of a dark sky community, I specifically bought into that community to not have the light pollution, the noise of it all. And I've actually helped my community and the community I manage make design guidelines, provide specific lighting, have done a ton of research into lights that can still provide effectiveness. Still, I directly have a scone that shoots down at my address plate. My address plate is completely visible in my rural area. Mind you, I have rural metro fire because I am on a county island. So it's a little tougher with rural metro fire than your traditional city services. And I really believe there is a way to still accomplish it without it having to be a state mandate across the board
Mr.
for
Chair, to
everyone.
that point, are you aware that this bill allows the HOA to control the light level of this device?
I am.
So if they can make it comply with your dark sky lumens or whatever you use to measure, what's the problem?
I think it's very unenforceable. Being an HOA manager for over 12 years, trying to get someone to comply when maybe not everyone's going to understand the law that way is truly an
Okay.
enforcement nightmare.
To that point. So you ban all exterior lights. People can't have a light by their driveway, by their front door. They can't have the little lights that go along the path because it's so hard to enforce the lumen level. You ban all lights?
Not all lights. I think when it becomes the flashing, the direct address
Mr. Chair, in the
plate,
interest of time,
it's a little.
are you aware that the only time this will flash is if there's an ambulance, police, or fire truck responding to an emergency?
Yes, I am aware.
Do you ban responding police, fire trucks, and ambulances that respond in your HOA? Do you ban their use of flashing lights on the vehicle?
No.
Well, what's the difference between this little sign flashing for the 10 minutes it takes them to get there and the 4 fire trucks that have all sorts of lights going? Is this really an issue?
I think it will become an issue because people won't understand it enough and it will be misunderstood, and it's better left in the hands of the HOA. They can adopt rules and regulations to allow that. I have helped HOAs. I am glad to share with any HOA struggling with this, including Fountain Hills, 19 pages of lighting guidelines that could probably still accomplish this without it having to be a state law mandated across all HOAs. This is a
Mr. Chair,
unique
just-
situation,
Yeah,
not
just
a
to finish,
statewide.
I'm only running this because there are a few HOAs that have banned this outright. So they're not all reasonable and willing to do this. And those that are can enforce their law because I dictate location as long as it can be seen from the street, illumination level.
Yep.
You got to protect people from the few rogue actors who belong to your association.
I completely
So
understand.
is this your first time testifying at the legislature?
It is.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank
Welcome,
you.
welcome to HOA legislating.
It's so
always
much
fun. I will just from a protocol standpoint, so when you speak to a member, you always go through the chair.
Oh,
So you say.
They reminded me of that. I'm
In every
sorry.
response, Mr. Chair, Senator Kavanaugh, and then you respond, okay?
Okay.
So for everybody else, that's the
I
process
apologize,
we use.
Mr. Chair.
That's okay.
They
No
did
worries at all.
brief me on that, but
If you had any
little
response, go ahead.
Madam, one final
Yeah, go for
question.
it.
So I guess when I was talking about how many associations and what have you do you represent? So what was the vote? How many of the HOA boards that you represent said they were okay with this bill, and how many said they weren't? What was the vote?
Actually, that actually would be, let's take this back a step, because even I don't recall from my days in the industry how the policy decisions for, which
So,
bills you support and oppose work.
Mr. Chair,
So-
Mr. Kavanaugh, we are a board of 9 within AACM. The 9 board members are who review this. We do post our legislative updates to all of our members, so anyone can chime in, share. But those that decided was amongst the 9, and I believe it was a unanimous no for our board.
Mr. Chair, and I would suspect that if you ask people if they would like to have this, especially those with illnesses, they would say they would. And I'm not going to probe into your motives, but it's been my experience in my 19 years here, and does not just apply to HOAs. Even when you propose something good, people will say we oppose it because we don't want to be told what to do, even when it's a great thing. And I suspect that this is being caught up in that philosophical net. But we have to look at the good of our constituents and not our 9 board members.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. Any other questions for the speaker? I didn't even turn to my Democratic friends over here. No? You guys good?
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for testifying. Anybody else?
Yes.
Oh, Lord, more. Oh, will we?
Andrew Timler and Dennis Legier.
All right, Andrew first. State your name, who you represent.
Andrew Timler and represent Glomensio. We created the first smart home address number designed to save lives. Mr. Chair, Senator Hoffman, thank you for your time. So I just wanted to come here today to testify directly for the device and answer any questions that you guys might have. My background's a first responder, Air Force veteran, and ICU nurse. So I've seen it so many times where people might have come in, they didn't get the help they needed soon enough because one, their house might have not been found, or they were just found unresponsive at home. So we're gonna be adding a lot more features into this device in the future to kind of automate the whole process with the 911 system. So first things first is just trying to get the device on the house. So there's no restrictions. There's been 3 customers that we've had in multiple customers in 3 different HOAs that have banned the device. I showed up to the meetings and they're now allowing it. But obviously with a new product, new technology, there's always pushback at first. So with that, that's all I have at the moment, and happy to answer any questions.
Very helpful. Okay, any questions? Wow, okay. Senator Kavanaugh, you want to toss him a softball or two?
He's pitching away fine.
Okay, thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, appreciate your time.
All right, Mr. Legier.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, my name is Dennis Legier, and I'm here representing my organization of homeowners from across the state. I support this bill, appreciate the senators explaining the intent, because my first read of the original bill was confusing, at least. But in explaining why these flashing lights are there, we fully support it. Unfortunately, we have every year these whack-a-mole bills where we have to put legislation in place to stop ridiculous, common sense application of what's right for these communities. That the power structure wants to limit everything as opposed to simply applying common sense. And for that, I appreciate the work that the senator did in defining, confining, and controlling this bill to address the concern that he had. And I'm ready for any questions if you would.
Any questions for Mr. Legier? All right, thank you very much for being here. Okay, let's go ahead and move the bill.
I move SB 1535 receive a due pass recommendation. I move the two-page Kavanaugh amendment to SB 1535 dated February 18th, 2025 at 12:02 p.m. be adopted.
All right, members, for the motion, this is for the amendment. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Ayes have it, do have it, so ordered. The amendment is adopted. Let's go ahead and move it as amended now.
I move the SB 1535 as amended receive a due pass recommendation.
All right, seeing no further discussion, Secretary, call the roll.
Senator Bravo,
No.
Senator Diaz,
Pass.
Senator Farnsworth.
You may.
Mr. Chairman,
Yep.
as someone who has had an ambulance come to my home to help my wife when she was in trouble, I got to get one of those, and I vote aye.
Senator Kavanaugh, Senator Cuby,
Explain my vote, Mr. Chair. So actually, I thought I was going to vote no on this bill, but hearing Senator Kavanaugh's arguments, I am convinced, and knowing the flashing lights would be just a rarity, we would hope they'd be a rarity. I'll support it. I do have sort of conniptions about telling homeowner associations what to do because they are perfectly capable of doing that, and this bill is sort of oddly specific. And I say all that while saying I'm voting yes, but considering the public safety arguments, I'm convinced, so yes.
Senator Diaz,
Aye.
Senator Rogers,
Mr. Chair?
You may.
As a rural legislator, I can't tell you how many homes I've knocked the doors of where there is no number and where it's hard to find the number. So in this case, I'm really admiring your bill. Number two, the role of the state legislature, I think, as Senator Cuby averred to, is to protect the people and its public safety. So this is where we have to get involved, and that's our job. And number three, it was mentioned that enforcement was a problem. We're the legislative branch, so we create laws and pass laws, and then it's up to you to enforce them. So with that, I vote aye.
Senator Hoffman,
All right, so I agree and disagree with many things that many people up here have said. Today was, in my opinion, look, I spent almost a decade in the HOA industry. I will never go back. So now, especially now that I know what this side of it looks like, I'm never going back. I will tell you, I'm not an HOA hater, but I certainly don't love them. And I don't love them for reasons like we heard today, right? This is one of those things where I think the associations who have banned these and then had to walk it back when, explain the technology, I think AACM taking a position against it, this is part of the reason why HOAs get a bad reputation, right? This is a technology that is, of course, look, Ring doorbells could have fallen into this same technology, into this same category when they were first created, right? Oh, well, we don't want surveillance in our communities, so we're gonna just deny the ability for them to go on homes. Well, now, of course, everybody has a Ring, or most people have a Ring, and so that would seem like a silly concept. This type of technology is the same sort of thing, except I would argue with an even greater kind of public safety element to it, right? I mean, this is simply about, my old stomping ground, I lived northwest Phoenix, but I had a bunch of friends who went to, Cave Creek High School and things. And so up in that carefree Cave Creek area, you have a lot of dark sky communities, and it is nearly impossible to find which home you're going to. Thank God we have GPS now, because back in the day, I mean, it was like, okay, you're gonna go to your Second Street, and then at the third cattle guard, you're gonna turn left. I mean, it's nearly impossible to find these places, right? And so this is simply a way to give homeowners more peace of mind that when they ask for emergency support to come, it's gonna be able to easily identify their home. And so I think, I wish that the industry would have just said, yes, we love this is great. But, given that they're not, I think this is worthwhile to advance, so I vote aye. Senator Bravo, I just want to make sure you want to stick by your no vote?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I heard, I'm sorry, I was muting myself. Mr. Chair, I heard Senator Kavanaugh mention that there were only a few that did not accept this, and I just couldn't, I don't live in an HOA, but I couldn't help but think, why couldn't it be negotiated between those few instead of passing an entire law? I respect all of you for your views, but that was my take.
Okay. I just wanted to, I was double checking because as you know, in the rules, you can change your vote up until it's announced. So just wanted to make sure that you had the opportunity. All right, by your vote of 6 ayes, this is 1535. By your vote of 6 ayes, 1 nay and 0 not voting, you have an SB 1535, a do pass as amended recommendation. All right, 6, 1, 0. Okay, we've got